Welcome to lesson 7.3. Today we're going to calculate the areas of trapezoids and kites. First, a little reminder from back in 5th grade. A trapezoid is a figure that has at least one pair of parallel sides, and it's a quadrilateral. It has 4 sides, so that's a trapezoid. And over here on the left we have a kite. A kite has adjacent sides that are congruent. They have the same length. So if that was 2 meters, this would be 2 meters. And then here we have 2. That means those 2 are not necessarily congruent to the first 2 sides, but they're congruent to each other. So if that was 5, that would be 5. So that's a kite. For the first part, we're going to find the area of a trapezoid. And we have this picture of a pasture in the shape of a trapezoid. It's a perfect shape for a pasture, don't you think? We have some grazing animals there. But anyway, we want to find the area of that trapezoid. So we're going to decompose it or break it down into shapes that we know. And the shapes that I'm talking about are triangles and rectangles. Well, if I look at this shape, I see an obvious triangle here. Okay. And if I look carefully, I can imagine another line that comes to a right angle here, forming another triangle there. And of course, I have this rectangle here. So I have 2 triangles and a rectangle. Now I got to find all the dimensions of the triangles, and I know that this length here is 10. I know this is 4. So 10 plus 4 is 14, and the whole thing is 18. So this must be another 4 here. So what that's telling me are these 2 triangles are congruent to each other. They have the same base and the same height. So what I really have are 2 different shapes. And I'm going to label them shape A and shape B. Shape A is a triangle, so its formula is 1/2 base times height. And if I substitute in for the variables, its base is 4 and its height is 12. I get a total area of 24 yards squared. And the area of shape B, that's a rectangle, so that's just base times height. And that's going to be 10 by 12, or 120 yards squared. Now if I want to make that entire pasture, that entire shape, I need 2 of shape A, 2 area A's, plus an area B. And that's going to give me the area total. And so I get 2 times 24 plus 120. And in the end, 2 times 24 is 48, plus 120 is 168. And so my area is 168 square yards, or yards squared. Pointing out a couple things here that you should show on your papers as well. I have formulas for anything I'm calculating. I've substituted in for my variables here, right? And then finally, I've clearly indicated my answer with a circle so that teacher knows what I think the answer is. Here's another one to tackle. I have this rectangle here, right? This shape. And I have also this triangle here, that shape. And I know that triangle has a base of 5, but what is its height? Well, I got to figure that out. I know that this is 11 25/100ths, and I know that this is 6 25/100ths. So I just need to subtract them to find out what the height of that triangle is. So doing that on the side, I get a height of 5. So let's go ahead and do the other work now. I'm going to call this shape A and shape B. The area of shape A is 1/2 base times height. Substituting in, and I get 12 5/10 feet squared. Moving on to shape B, area equals base times height. Now I got to substitute in, and I get 31 25/100 square feet. Now all I have to do is add them together. When I do, I get 43 75/100 square feet. And that's all there is to it. Here's another one. The only difference between this trapezoid and earlier trapezoids is I have 3 shapes. I have this triangle and this rectangle and this triangle, which is not congruent to A. So you're going to need to find the area of shape A, the area of shape B, and the area of shape C, and then add them all up. Go ahead and give it a try, and we'll talk about it in class. Moving on to the area of kites. If you look carefully at this drawing, and we have this quadrilateral kite, and we want to cut this shape out of a piece of cloth that is 298 centimeters squared. We want to know if we have enough cloth. Of course, they don't give us enough information, right? What if this cloth that we have is really narrow and super long? You can't cut that out. The dimensions aren't right. But we're just going to ignore that, and we're just going to calculate the area of this kite and see if it's less than or equal to 298. Now, as we analyze this, I see anyway, 4 triangles, but if I look closer, I see some congruent triangles. This triangle and this triangle are congruent. They both have a height of 5 and a base of 10. And this triangle and this triangle, here's what I'm talking about, they're congruent. So I only have to find the area of 2 shapes, and then I can double them, right? And so there it is. And now we just need to put it all together. And I substituted my answers in, got my answer, and voila. Now I want to pause just a minute to look at this problem and see some of the things that I did. First off, I labeled my shapes over here so I knew what was what. I knew what was shape A, what was shape B. I also included my formulas, and I substituted in a neat and organized way. I wrote everything down. If you're the kind of person who likes to write all over the place on your paper, and you're a little disorganized, you're trying to do half of it in your head, I think you're going to struggle with these problems and then problems in the next few lessons. You really got to write stuff down in an organized fashion. And if you do that, I think you'll be very successful. Now, the last thing we need to do is reread the question. And my goodness, I haven't answered it yet, have I? It says, do I have enough cloth? Well, if I need 300 square centimeters and I only have 298, then I do not have enough. Not enough. Okay, I know that for a fact. Here's one for you to try. I have a trapezoid, and you're going to need to break that up into rectangles and triangles and label things and write down formulas and just be super organized and come up with the correct area. And for the straight up practice, another problem for you. This time I have a kite, and once again, you need to label the diagram, and then you need to calculate the area of the pieces that you make. It looks like some triangles there, and then put it all together. You might be able to save yourself some time if you see congruent triangles in there. Go ahead and give it a crack, and we will check it out in class. Take care.